Wolf is there. Well, let's get more now on the Pope and how his death has affected Catholics across Europe. Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner joins us now from Berlin. Hi there, Emily. What has the reaction been to the Pope's death in Germany and more broadly across Europe?
Well, the news here, has sparked the same reaction as it has in other parts of the world. Catholics and even non-Catholics who admired Pope Francis are deeply saddened by the news of his death. He was well regarded here in Germany, particularly for his pastoral perspective and for speaking up for marginalized groups of people. His outlook really resonated in this country, where the Christian tradition has really deep roots in service and in aiding the most vulnerable. Germany's incoming Chancellor Friedrich Merz, he referenced this perspective when he shared his condolences, and as did many of Germany's senior Catholic clerics and other leaders around the world. And both outgoing Chancellor Scholz, will be and Germany's President Frank-Walter Steinmeier, they are scheduled to attend the Pope's funerary service on Saturday.
Yeah, we're running some live pictures while we're talking about this, Emily, from St. Peter's Basilica, where the Pope has been for the last half hour or so, which is where people can see him lie in state over the next 3 days ahead of that funeral that you just mentioned there. He obviously leaves behind a legacy of a commitment to the less fortunate and to immigrants as well. How was his message received in Germany?
Well, it's really interesting. I mean, the number of German Catholics have declined drastically in recent years, though some of the Pope's theology really resonated here, as I mentioned, particularly this belief in helping the most vulnerable in society. Last year, Pope Francis and Chancellor Olaf Scholz met in Rome, where they spoke about immigration as well as the war in Ukraine. There are lots of topics that the Vatican and Germany saw eye to eye on. And though Pope Francis was regarded as more open or relatively liberal as in comparison with some of his predecessors, he didn't really enact the kind of reform that parishioners expected, or at least had hope for, reform that the German Catholic Church was really pushing for. For example, he openly stated that homosexuality was not a crime and even blessed same-sex unions, but he didn't go as far as bless same-sex marriages or say that they would now be allowed in the Catholic Church. And this lack of real concrete reform, along with some of the scandals in the church and some of the disagreement between the German Catholic Church and the Vatican, was the reason why the number of German Catholic parishioners had dropped so drastically in past years.
So in light of all of that, Emily, how do you think German and European Catholics are going to remember Pope Francis?
I think he's definitely going to be remembered here, much in the same way as he's being remembered and commemorated around the world, and that is for his humility, his commitment to the disenfranchised, to those living in poverty, to those who are fleeing conflict. He spoke heavily in support of climate protection. He was against the ecological destruction that he saw taking place. One of the first acts he took as Pope was to wash the feet of youth that were incarcerated, 2 of whom were Muslim and 2 of whom were women. It gave a pretty powerful message. He also promoted more women to local leadership roles than any of his predecessors. But as I mentioned earlier, the German Catholic Church really wanted real reforms, like more power for women in influential leadership roles in the church. And many of these reforms, Pope Francis felt threatened church unity. So there was also some discord. But despite these criticisms, I think largely that Pope Francis is going to be remembered for his commitment to speak up for the marginalized. And that's definitely left a lasting impact here, both on parishioners and leaders, like the chair of the German Bishops' Conference, who recently said that the Pope had opened a new chapter for the church.
Deutsche Welle correspondent Emily Leshner, thank you. Well, feeding